In this video, we're going to talk through building a website using Windsurf to really level up your development or just building a website that's going to be faster, more effective, more efficient in today's world. Platforms like WordPress, WP Bakery Builder, Elementor, or Wix, or Squarespace, they're nice, they're drag and drop, but they're really slow. They always need updates. They're really clunky. They cause a lot of mobile visual issues. And using Windsurf to go and build a highly optimized website that's going to be super fast, super efficient, it can be easy for you to update nowadays with all the tools. All right. In order to get this started, we need to have you first go over to Windsurf, download for Windows. This is a really great little platform. It's similar to VS Code, which is Visual Studio. It's just a code editor. It gives you a nice, pretty interface like you see here. And you have this column on the right-hand side, the section where you see all of the code. On the left column, you can click through the different code files. We'll get into how that all works in a minute. I want to show you the path towards this, which I think is how many of you are probably going to do this because you've already used something like ChatGPT or Claude. Make sure that you have a strong foundation so you're going from something you're used to into something that's new. So in here, what we've got is I've gone into ChatGPT, started a new chat, and gave it context on who we are, what we do, what I want it to do, and then give me an output. The purpose of that is to give us formatting on how the web page should be. This isn't about the copy itself. So I had to give us this as well as some references for it to refer back to. It drafted some website copy, and I made iterations providing more context of who I am, what we do, who we serve. Talking with OpenAI, we got our website structure and flow, which is a whole piece that we will copy and just save wherever we need. So we're going to need both of these. Once you've gotten these, you're then going to come over to Claude, and you're basically just going to be able to dump this all in, which is great. I want to do something introductory for all of you. Come in here. Your task is to have it do this, right? We want to give it context, clarity, insight, and information, who it is, what it's doing, and the ideal outcome we're looking for. I want you to do a dark mode style design that's mobile friendly, desktop friendly. I want you to use the vibrant colors of a series of blues and accents to make sure it has cool animations. I want people to scroll through the website, ensure that it's all done using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Make sure that your website is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, just to reiterate, hey, I want it specifically using these pieces. If you're coding a software platform, tell it specifically the versioning that you're using and that you want to ensure it's using a stable version, right? So to keep yourself simple for this example, do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then you go through, drop in your website copy, and then you're to come in here and also drop in your little page structure. So then it goes through, you talk through it, make sure you get it to what you want, or at least good enough. And once you're sort of happy with it, you see this little code editor section up here. You're going to take all of this code, hit copy. Once it's ready, then we're going to start by doing the following. So at this point, you should have already installed Windsurf. If you haven't, go make sure to do that now. We're going to go and create a file. So I want you to go create new folder. We can call this example. I'll be nicer. Right, we'll say rename example website. Great, so you see this is empty. What we want to do is we want to open up Windsurf. And you're going to go to File. You're going to hit Open Folder, Example Website. Now in here you have a completely blank code editor. You're going to come over here and hit the plus sign. You're going to put this in as index.html. Great, and you're gonna hit enter. So what happens, you see it creates these little orange brackets, and what that means is it's created a HTML file. Now the color coordination is helpful. You can also see that it's that file because it says doc type HTML in this grayed out piece. Now all we're gonna do is hit copy paste, and boom, we have pasted all of this in. If you're a highly inefficient developer and you don't care about the proper formatting of things, I've had instances where I would do the same. Maybe I'm just building a quick landing page for a platform, but if we're building a website, we need to do a few extra steps here. In here, there's these things called styles, and that's where your CSS is. It's a lot of content. It's hundreds. And then you see where it swaps from short blocks to this transitioning piece here, where it starts getting into actual text in terms of like, here's your hero badge, here's your H1. And this, if we come back over here and look at the visuals, here's that little AI automation specialists, and here's your H1. H1 is your bold text, right? Here's that automation specialist. Here's scale with chaos. You'll see how hero badge puts it in this little section here. That's pulling from the CSS that's higher up. And what we need to do is, to do this properly, you want to be able to use these styles on other pages as you build contact us page, about us page, so on and so forth. You want to make sure that you separate these styles into their own page. If you know how to do development, I could just show you how to do that, but I want to show you how to use the platform like Windsurf. That way it does it for you. And the easiest way to do this is in the Windsurf editor is to try to be as specific about what you're trying to do as possible. The more you try to do this, the better you'll be able to come out of this is communicating like a developer. And it's a little difficult if you've not done actual development, which is where people go into the realm of called vibe coding, where they're just flying by the seat of their pants. Typically what ends up occurring is you get a bunch of fragmented code. It does the thing, but it's riddled with vulnerabilities, issues, and loading errors, stuff we don't want to have. So I'm trying to show you guys the best version on how you're able to do this. So what we want to do is come over this, actually make sure you see this little circle. That means we've not saved the file yet. You want to save it because if you've not saved a file, because you just copied and pasted it all in here, it's just going to say it's a blank file. So we now want to come in here. We're going to hit the @ sign, go to Files, click on the index file. And what this does just like directly forces this towards something, right? Just makes it searching a little easier. And then we're going to do the talking to Claude. Your task is to review the index.html file and separate it into its proper web design components, whether it's CSS, JavaScript, and remove all of this junk out of the index.html so that it is properly calling those new files that you've generated that we will use to build out other pages shortly. Okay. Done this. Now what's going to happen is this is going to go through, and you'll see here it's automatically working through. It's immediately analyzed the file. It's generating its own plan on what to do. It's identified that it needs to create these individual files for CSS and JavaScript, and now it's going to start working through editing the code. So it'll refactor the index file and generate a file for that. This is super cool because it gives you the ability to put half-baked code into here and help you get better outputs. 6 months to a year ago, you would be paying someone a couple $1,000s to build a website like what we're putting together because it's just a pain to get there. So without further ado, we're going to let this run, and then once this is complete, we will come back. So the website has just been completed. In here, you'll see that now we have the index.html, script.js, and style.css. It separated out all of the junk and made it much faster, much more effective. And now you're able to actually call script data and as well as the style CSS. It's really streamlined what we want to do. And even better, we have this. You'll see down here that we have a footer, but we don't have pages for any of these footers. Come over here to the code editor and be like, in fact, I'm going to use my voice to text one because it makes it easier for me. What we're going to do now is create a few other pages using this now that we've got the style.css and the script.js file. So all we're going to do is we're going to come back over to this Cascade editor, making sure that we're using Claude Sonnet 4. And I'm going to use my voice to text. This just makes my life easier. Please go through and generate a About Us page and ensure that the index.html file has been properly linked to it, as well as generate a contact page. Ensure that that's been linked according as well. And then make sure that you've synced the style and JS pages to reference the existing formatting, branding, and stylization that we want to use for the website. So we know we've told it what we want to do, and it's going to review this and understand that we already have a footer here that has these pages, but we don't have links to them. As you see here, that's this £, and it's basically just blank. It's analyzing this page in the style.css and the JavaScript. It's going to get a full understanding of the website structure and the branding and start building these pages. Now that the Cascade code editor is finished making these 2 pages, let's take a moment to review. It's gone through and done a ton of ongoing work, and it's built its plan and went through executing on that plan one step at a time. Iterative editor, because the Cascade editor is using what's called an agentic workflow. Now, I'm not going to go into specifically what that is, but in the very simple sense, it does a lot of its own planning and then uses that planning to implement and iterate on the pieces that it's working on. So in here, we've got a bunch of updates as to what it's done. In the actual code editor, you'll see it has sections where it wants to change. And you'll see that it has the contact wanting to now link to contact.html. All we got to do is hit accept. I'm going to do one at a time so you can see how this looks. Now here's the contact.html, and it's saying, hey, here's everything I built. Please review. And you'll see it's clearly what it wrote because it's all in this yellowish color. So we're just gonna hit accept changes. Same thing over here for the about. So we're gonna hit that. We'll make sure we hit accept all. I'm gonna save real quick. Now let's see what that looks like. So go over to downloads, demo website, and about. We've gone to the about page, and you'll be able to scroll through here. We didn't give it anything. We just said, hey, go through and build this. I think it did an okay job. There's some little formatting pieces that could be adjusted, but overall, I think the design's pretty good. Here's the contact us. The form is editable. Look at that. Schedule a free strategy call. Of course, it doesn't have anywhere to go, but you'll see that it set it up to automatically pass this data somewhere if you set it up to go. Look at that. That's pretty cool. It's got a nice little website. How this works is you can essentially come in here, and if you're like, oh, I want to make further changes, just keep coming into the code editor and talking here. One thing I recommend when using a platform like Windsurf is to start a new conversation every time you want to make a new key change, and then pull over the page that you're referencing or that you want to make an edit to, just to ensure that it is looking at the right thing, and use that in your information. This way, it has direct access and context and clarity of what it is that you're trying to do, right? So maybe it's, working through updating the colors or the text that's on the page. If you just go and say update the text on the page, it's not going to know which of these pages to update, and those assumptions likely are going to be wrong. So we want to make sure that it's really clear. You've gone through, you've made your changes, and you're happy with this, right? But now you want to go and actually put it somewhere, right? So how this works is you put this in a file. What's really cool is you can just come over to your platform that you use your hosting. Say in this one, it's Namecheap. So let's just say you buy a domain. Once you buy a domain, you're going to pay for hosting and come down to hosting list. Underneath this, go to manage. This process is going to be able to take your file and your pages that you just generated and pushing them over to a hosting provider so that way you can actually have a real website. From hosting, you're going to go to the cPanel. In here, you're going to find something like File Manager. Now, we're opening up a file manager of an existing website. You're going to come over to File, New File. We're going to put in index.html. Actually, let me just show you an easier way to do this. Open this in a new tab. Scroll and paste. There it is. We're going to do upload. Select a file. We're going to do the index file first. This is showing you right where it's going. These are complete. Go back. And you'll see about, contact, index, script, and style. Now, all this other stuff is just because it's an old WP Bakery website or WP Builder website from forever ago. Here's what the website currently looks like. Now, when I reload this, if everything goes well, we should actually see a version of the website we just built. So here's what it currently looks like. Let's override this. And there we go, just by dropping in those files, because index.html is the root directory or the root file that typically these platforms pull from. And then we're going to go to about. There we go. Look at that. We've got the full website. And then you can come over here to the contact and go through and make changes. And again, what's nice here is, let's say you want to come over and you're like, you know, I really just hate the about page, right? Because I think the about page honestly does need some love. So what you do is you just come back over to this code editor. If it ever closes on you, you're just gonna go up to View, Appearance, Secondary Sidebar. Now let's make a change to that About Us page. Please go through and reorganize the About Us page to be more desktop and mobile friendly. Currently, there's a lot of formatting issues with icons and the text overlaying on top of each other. So please review and ensure that the formatting is optimized and shrink the gap between each of the blocks so there's a lot less unnecessary white space. Great. So that's going to go through and do this. Again, we'll take a look at this once it's done. That should honestly be pretty quick. We're going to go to the other one because it's up to date. File Manager, find that page, click Edit, and you'll see we've got all of the code. Once this is complete, we're just going to copy the new changes and paste them in there. Then we'll be able to see the new ones we've just implemented. What's really cool about this is within an hour or two, depending on the level of complexity, you're going to be able to get a pretty good little website put together, and you're going to have all of your copy done. You're going to have all of your connections done. It's going to be hosted. You're going to be able to use it live. People are able to review the page and book calls with you and interact with you just as you would want. As you try to build more complex websites, I highly recommend going online and looking at different websites for reference examples. And all you do is, once you find an example that you like, you can just drop it in here, right? Like, let's say you really like this whole formatted piece. So you could just drop in this screenshot and be like, hey, please use this referenced image to help build a specific design on your website. So I'm gonna go through, do this, and then we'll come back and take a look at the updated version in a moment. Now that it's gone through and made the final changes here that we're gonna let it run with for the About Us page, we're just gonna come here and hit Accept All. So again, change our About Us, control this, come over here, hit Paste, Save Changes, and close. And then let's come down to our Style, Edit, Edit again. I believe I saw some changes on the style sheet. So we're just going to copy all of this, paste, save changes. Now let's come over here. We're going to come back over to the About Us page. And it is a little bit better. The formatting is a little bit better immediately. The structure is better without doing too much. This Contact Us little block does need adjusted, but within just a few minutes, we'll be able to build a website, put it on our hosting provider, get it live, and actually get a real page up and running. Here's the actual page. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions or comments or want more context and clarity, just let me know. Other than that, I'll see you in another video. Thanks.